I checked all your homework in that, and it actually looked pretty good on the stuff I need you to know. And I want to move on and maybe step, excuse me, step up the problems here a little bit. And we're going to continue with the distributive property, combining like terms, and simplifying algebraic expressions. Okay. So if you remember distributive property, we're going to take everything. All right, if we're multiplying what we call a monomial times a binomial, we distribute the a, and it's multiplying each term by a. Okay, now when we do examples with it, only tough part is to keep track of the signs. So 6 times positive 3x would give you 18x. And then 6 times 2 would give you 12. Here, 8 times 3x will give you 24x. Okay, 8 times negative 2 is minus 16. So this is a very important concept for the future when we go to solve equations. So the next one, negative 5 times 2x would give you negative 10x. Then negative 5 times negative 4 would be plus 20. And you are done here. Okay, the next one, again, if you multiply and you get a negative, we're going to subtract. If you multiply and get a positive, you're going to add. So negative 4 times negative 7x would be 28x. But then negative 4 times 7 would give you a negative 28. So we're going to subtract 28. And you are done. Okay. So now, as we move along to 3 terms, it's not much more difficult. It's just you have to know that you're going to multiply every single term in the quantity. Remember, we look where the parenthesis starts and where it ends, and everything gets multiplied by negative 5. So negative 5 times negative 7x squared is 35x squared. Negative 5 times negative 8x is positive 40x. Then negative 5 times negative 5 would give you plus 25. Okay? Then finally, 6 times 2n squared is going to give you 12n squared. 6 times negative 6n would give you minus 36n. And then 6 times 3 is 18. So keeping track of the signs, we got to make sure when we multiply a positive, or when we multiply and get a negative, we subtract. And when we multiply and get a negative or a positive, we add. So combining like terms, remember, you add or subtract the coefficients of all the terms with identical variable expressions. So in this first example here, right, I look and I start with the x squareds. Are there any other x squareds in this example? No. So then I move on to the x's. What can be combined with the 3x? The positive 8x. Those are like terms. And then finally, I have negative 6 and negative 3 are like terms. So I have nothing to combine 7x squared with, so I bring it down. And I always want to write this in order from highest exponent to the lowest exponent. And 3x plus 8x would be plus 11x. And then negative 6 minus 3 is minus 9. And we are done. All right, remember, you cannot combine the 7x squared and the 11x because those variable expressions are not identical. So the next one, if I have 9xy, I look for other xy's. Oh, here's an xy. And then I move along, no other xy's. So now, negative 9x squared, I come along, I get positive 7x squared, no other x squareds. So now, I move on to my y squareds. I have 2 of them. And then finally, I have my y term of 8y. And the yellows go with the yellows. So I'm going to start with the highest exponent in terms of alphabetical order. So negative 9x squared plus 7x squared would give me negative 2x squared. Sometimes I like to cross them out, let myself know I used them. And I'll go to the y squareds. So negative 5y squared minus 3y squared. Negative 5 minus 3 is negative 8y squared. Cross them out. I've used them. Then 6xy plus 3xy would give me 9xy. And then finally, I'm going to have to bring down this 8y. None of these terms can be combined from this point on. Okay? So again, this is all stuff you've been doing. It might be at a higher level. So the next one. Here, when we simplify, the first thing we always do is you have to distribute first. So when I distribute here, negative 2 times r would be negative 2r. And negative 2 times 5 is minus 10. I still have to bring the plus 7 down. Now I look to combine like terms. So second step is to go ahead and combine like terms. So what can I combine with the negative 2r? Nothing, so I'll bring it down. Then negative 10 plus 7 would give you minus 3. And we are done here. Okay, so remember, you're going to distribute and then combine like terms. Now the next example, 99% of the mistakes students have here is they want to do 1 minus 7 first. But if you remember order of operations, you have to do what's in the parentheses first, then you multiply, then you do addition or subtraction. So technically, before I can do anything with this 1, I must distribute the negative 7 first. So here, you have negative 7. Negative 7 times 1, so I'm going to bring down the 1. Then negative 7 times 1 is minus 7. And then negative 7 times 5x would be minus 35x. Now the first thing I want to do is always write the variable expression first. So there's no term to combine with negative 35x, so I bring it down. Don't forget the sign, right? And then what is 1 minus 7 going to give me? Minus 6. Okay, you always want to write it in order from variable to the constant. Okay, so this next example, again, anytime I see parentheses, I must look and see if I have to distribute. So in this case, I'm going to distribute the 5. 5 times 7v, 35v. 5 times 1 is plus 5. And I'm going to bring down the minus 7v. Then I look to combine like terms. So I'll start with my variable expression. I'll start with my variable expression, 35v. That can be combined with negative 7v to give me 28v. And then I look. I'm going to bring down the plus 5. Okay, so again, we're distributing and then combining like terms. Couple more examples here. So this one here, one thing you got to be very careful with is when you multiply the variable expression. Not going to put too many of these on you, but we will have to do it. So negative 3n times 1 would give you negative 3n. Then negative 3n times negative 3n, negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. But then n times n is always going to be n to the second. Then I have to distribute the minus 8. So negative 8 times 4n is minus 32n. Then negative 8 times 4 is minus 32. Now when I combine like terms here, right, I'll start with the negative 3n and negative 32n. Then you have 9n squared, nothing to combine it with. Then the minus 32. When I go to write my final answer, I want to start with the highest exponent. So I'm going to bring down the 9n squared. Then I'm going to combine negative 3n, negative 32n to get minus 35n. And then I bring down the minus 32. Okay, A couple more examples, and for these, you can try them on your own and check your answers if you want. So, negative 4 times 3x squared will give you negative 12x squared. Negative 4 times 6x will give you minus 24x. And negative 4 times negative 1 would be positive 4, so plus 4. Now I also have to distribute this 3. 3 times 9x is plus 27x. And then 3 times negative 2 is minus 6. So when I go to simplify this, I'm going to bring down the negative 12x squared. There's nothing to combine that with. Then I have negative 24x plus 27x is going to give me positive 3x. Make sure you add and subtract correctly. And 4 minus 6 would give you minus 2. And we are done. Okay, so again, let's make sure we try this last example and check your answer. So first, I distribute the 7 to get 14x. And then 7 times negative 6 is minus 42. And when I distribute this negative 2, negative 2 times 4x squared is minus 8x squared. Negative 2 times negative 5x is plus 10x. And then negative 2 times 2 is minus 4. So I bring down the 8x squared. There's nothing to combine it with. 14x plus 10x would give me plus 24x. And then negative 42 minus 4 would give me minus 46. Okay, so a lot of these may have been easy for you. If not, hopefully they make sense now. And go ahead and try the simplifying expressions review and message the worksheet to me. Please send it one worksheet at a time so it's easier for me to print out and grade. All right, have a good one, bud.